One of my students said there was no such thing as a bad film, only good films, or good films that were slightly less good than other good films. So I showed him Spellbound by Hitchcock, a movie that has bothered me for decades. After it was over, I asked, "Is that a bad film?" And he said, "It is a slightly less good film." "But why?" And he said, "Because Hitchcock was a capitalist." These are the things that keep me up at night. Okay, it's fine not to like Hitchcock. Hitchcock isn't God, and as far as I can tell, he found his high status amusing. And sure, Hitchcock was a brand, but he was also an auteur, a product of luck, ingenuity, accident, mastery, and marketing. And I happen to think Marx would have loved cinema, since it functions as a populist democracy where everyone is enfranchised and has a meaningful vote. He would have recognized a medium that embodies the positive principles of both capitalism and socialism, a medium that can rise to an art form while rejoicing in excess in a way that few art forms can afford to do, and in the midst of that excess, become meaningful to those unable to frivolously dispense with their excess. I wouldn't recommend you watch Spellbound, though. Its excesses are 100% style. They don't do anything. See how confused this movie makes me? I'm talking about Marx instead of the film. Anyway, I suspect that psychoanalysis is the root cause of the trouble. In 1945, it was relatively unknown to the populace at large, and Hitchcock saw an opportunity to do something new, but I've rarely seen anything as awkward as the explanation of psychoanalysis at the beginning of the film. It's Hitchcock dressed up as Norman Bates' schoolmarm, and it's grotesque, and then he brought on poor Salvador Dali. Hitchcock and Dali bought into their own myths with that premature ejaculation of a dream sequence, which comes off like a school play filled with symbols that make my face hurt. On canvas, Dali feels fresh and naughty, but the Hays Code forced self-censorship, which is self-castration, which is not Dali's way. Nowhere do we see the Dali who teamed up with Buñuel to make Un Chien Andalou or L'Âge d'Or. The arrogant prankster of the books took a vacation to LA. Do his paintings move? Sure, but cinema isn't painting. Okay, there are great things in this film. The music, while overwhelming, is impossible to ignore. The scenes with Ingrid Bergman and the chauvinist doctors are a creepy delight, and the two stars, whose beauty and attraction is indescribable, were photographed to perfection by Greg Toland, with brilliant lighting and careful selection of depth. The camera licks their faces like a cat. But I can't just ignore the skiing scene or the clumsy death of the kid brother. And did you see that hand at the end? We shouldn't have to laugh at a suicide. And Ben Hecht's script comes off like a forgetful parody. Filmmakers like Hitchcock were masters of psychology long before they read Freud, so the psychoanalysis feels like a gimmick. This tale of stolen identity has drama because of the love story, but it gets tedious halfway through. I don't want to see a therapy session on film unless it reveals something about the human rather than the plot. Hitchcock is a mastery of making conversational scenes exciting, and everyone should learn from him, but they should learn from this one too. I don't know. Maybe Spellbound hasn't aged well, or maybe I'm a bad critic. A recent exhibition at MOMA celebrated the 50th birthday of the 40s, and alongside this film they showed Citizen Kane and Casablanca, Laura, and The Third Man. Spellbound can't hold a candle to those movies, and it's always frustrated me because so much of the film is great. Maybe I'm like my student, who couldn't really tell me why he didn't like it. I honestly don't know how many of my 7 children to give to Spellbound, because I'm pretty sure I'll change my mind 2 days later. Maybe some time on the couch will help me figure it out.